So we talked about what they are, we talked about how they work a little bit. How do you go about setting one up? Who do you have on your team that will help you support that process? The admin, the account manager, perhaps? The RSM?
Maybe.
Marketing? How are we gonna use marketing?
With invites and all of the materials that
All
they've
those
already got.
materials. Yeah, that we saw yesterday,
Design,
all
yeah.
those pieces, right?
Yeah.
Is there somebody else that you've left out of that equation? You talked about
Well, I always
branch
include
admin.
my equipment specialists. A lot of times they have opportunities to come in that we don't.
Practice them.
Right. Practice support.
Me.
It's
Right?
PST, but it's also,
Practice support.
Yeah,
Oh,
and Taylor.
excuse me.
yes, come on now.
STL or whatever.
STM.
STM, I
So you're gonna bring that idea
It's
to
a new
Taylor, right? So Mark, you come up with that idea. You're gonna pass that on to Taylor, right? That, hey, I really think this would really resonate. I've got this piece. I think if we do something around how do you approach PPOs? What do you do in your practice with that? That's about all the grain of an idea you probably need to pass on to Taylor.
I
And
will
then
say,
he'll work,
you'll call me up and you have this great idea. I say, okay, the first question I will probably ask is, well, I'll say, thanks for calling. Nice to hear from you again, and
It's been 2 years.
I think I remember what you look like.
well, in that case, it'll be, Mark used to work here.
and I will ask you to pitch me on it.
Right.
Why? Tell me why this is good. Because what I will want to hear most likely is, okay, we'll work in your area. How big an area is that? Is this north part of the state? Is this all over the state? Have you heard from other BDMs in different areas or RSMs that they've done the same thing? Then I will say, then I will be much more amenable to spending time and resources developing it for you. All right?
And
Cool.
then he's got our team back here,
All right.
who has a lot of fuel, obviously, developed from the conversations we're having with doctors and the research that we do on an ongoing basis for the health and practice newsletters and everything else, that we can fuel that and get those pieces to Taylor so they can go into
Right.
profit clinic
Yeah,
design.
because the first step will be doing all the research to come up with the supporting data for the insight.
Okay.
I would imagine though, that we may call practice leadership first and say, hey, I have a concept of talking to a couple people, can you give me a little more information on this to see if it makes sense before I go, or do I just go straight to Taylor? Let him do that.
Well, we're all part of practice support team.
Yeah, either way.
Okay.
You feel free to
Because
call me
practice
directly.
leadership doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, and then, well, and my computer does.
I know, me
I've
too.
changed the name a few
PLDC
times, it's
even.
not being changed again.
Oh, really?
No, mine either.
Oh,
No.
that's fine.
But
Okay.
please
Folders,
call
PLDC.
me directly,
Okay.
because BDMs are number one on my list.
Yeah, they're number 42 on mine, no. Okay. So hopefully you're feeling like you've definitely got the tools available to you to set one up. Is everybody, you guys both feeling confident that you've got tools, you've got a budget platform, you've got the ability to have those conversations with your RSMs, you'll be tapping into what's most important, you have a good idea how they work, and a good idea what they are. So you come back from this training, and you're gonna run into Chris McCarthy,
I'll see you next week.
who's gonna go, Mary, what the hell were you doing up there? Did they, you know, what happened? And what is this profit clinic I keep hearing about? What are you gonna tell? Don't swear at me
It's
like
none of
you
your
would at
business,
Chris.
Chris, it's none of your business. I think what's going to be helpful is to let them know that what we're doing is trying to get doctors interested in Burkhart, providing them with information that will be very helpful for their practice and connect with Burkhart in a way that we haven't connected in the past, different. And then being able to expand on what we can do to help them in their total practice, not just one little area. So it's really opening up conversations with different people that we've never met before. Feeding these people into their territories, feeding them.
Awesome. So you hit on a lot of this. You hit on informational gatherings, you hit on prospects design, you We talked about the valuable knowledge, right? Things that are gonna resonate with them. We talked about they're an area of interest to the attendees. They're going to enhance the prospect's opinion of Burkhart, right? We didn't quite hit on the exclusivity piece. Why is that so important?
I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
I'm not sure, because we've talked about, it doesn't have to be exclusive. Meaning, would we not want to partner with a vendor that might be able to help in a perio situation? A vendor who might have product that could enhance the perio experience. I don't know, so maybe that's too much information for one little hour event.
Oh, okay, I was thinking exclusive when we put this up here, Mayor. I was thinking more of, this isn't open to just God and everybody.
Oh,
We
got
didn't
it, got it, okay.
throw from helicopters invitations for this event.
Understood that.
This is really, you know,
Okay,
I've really handpicked these 12 individuals that I'm gonna be inviting. Yeah,
got it.
that's great, but you did raise a good question there. And I think Taylor mentioned yesterday that we've got a couple vendor partners who are very well versed already in Challenger. If you have a vendor partner who's not, that would be part of what you'd be reaching out to Taylor on. Is, you know, I really would like to work with Brassler,
Right.
because this is what they, I know. You never know.
No.
But I really want to be able to work with them, here's why, or I really want to be able to work with, and it could very well be because there's different pockets of different training, just like at Burkhart, right? We talked about how somebody's skills in Vegas may not be the same as somebody's skills in San Diego. Same thing with Dentsply, same thing with 3M.
Right.
We've got some reps who are very well versed and really took on Challenger and have made it part of who they are.
Right.
We have others who haven't.
Right.
So it's gonna have to be someone who's really open to going through their deck with Taylor, quite frankly. So that's what we're doing with WEO Media right now, is in order to get in front of our doctors, in order to lead to Burkhart as the solution, not just come in and do a commercial for WEO, they're gonna have to run through their deck with Taylor.
Okay.
And so that will be, and sorry, Israel,
Of
for a
course.
second, that will be a fight I can take off your shoulders, because basically I will say, look, this is what we needed to do. And there might be a vendor who says, you know, I'm not giving a presentation unless it's driving to us. I'm like, well, we can probably kill two with one here, but our strategy, this is our strategy, and this is our profit plan. So if they're amenable to structuring it so that Burkhart is the one it gets driven to, but they get some run also, that's fine.
I remember the sales meeting that we had, national sales meeting that we had, maybe not this one, but the previous one possibly, where it was every single vendor talked about the Challenger sale in some way. And they presented in the Challenger sale way.
So we required that.
We required that. And I think that was a real continuity, because we asked our account managers to read the Challenger sale, and then it was presented to them in that format. And I think this is the same thought process. If we're going to be presenting in this way, we need to have them follow the same.
And you'll see that in this focus program as well. That's the requirement of them to present as well. Okay, so we're really, really going for that. And then it serves our purpose, because quite selfishly, these are our events, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, look at that! That's what we just talked about. So it's really meant to enhance their opinion, right? This is meant to advance sales for you guys. That's the purpose of these, in addition to helping them with their business. Okay. So we looked at the structure a little bit, and you've got a generic outline that I had passed out yesterday. And I think yesterday we looked a little bit at that generic outline, and we talked about what you were seeing there and how it progresses through. So this is the same template that would be used over and over again. This is the same template that practice support team is using to develop the additional profit clinics that we're looking to do. So we've gone over this as a team, the three of us here, from the consulting division portion of practice support team. And we're really looking at how we can adapt our materials and put them into this format to best serve you guys. So we talked about that need to know piece and that ability to build that credibility, right? Similar to the warmer that we looked at earlier with Taylor. We talked about that we're going to be able to make sure that we're demonstrating empathy for them, right? So these are all things that we're going to go through the actual hygiene example with you in a moment. You'll get to see these pieces in action. Certainly, we're going to make sure we're teaching. We're going to make sure that we're tailoring. What was that important piece we talked about yesterday that's going to help us tailor our presentation? What did they have to do?
Bring
Prepared.
their information.
Yeah, they've got to come
Reports.
prepared, right? They have to bring their information. So that's going to be a really nice way for you guys to get buy-in, right? I think you mentioned that earlier, Mark.
Yeah.
That's one way we look at how invested they are in hearing what we have to say is if they come prepared. It's the same for the practice views as well. Okay, so we've got a plan and a workaround that if they don't bring their data, we're going to make sure that we have sample data that person could use. But we certainly, it's not going to be as impactful if it's not done with their own data for their practice. Okay. We'll talk about how we're going to go through some rational drowning with them. And then we'll talk about taking control again in that action planning stage. Okay. Any questions on that structure itself that we've gone over yesterday? Anything that doesn't make sense? Okay. Let's go through the actual PowerPoint. I think these came around to you. Looks like this for the profit clinic at this point. And I'm going to pass out to you as well a couple additional materials that you will need to walk through this. So you've got the agenda there in front of you. And this is you'll see it looks very similar to the template that you got yesterday. This is the actual agenda. And this is a sample of the report that we would ask the doctor to bring with them. Okay. So the goal is that all of these things are saved on the hub for you, and you will find them once we get them there. Because on our server, they're all saved for you that way. So we have a folder for each particular profit clinic, and in that folder is the PowerPoint deck and all the materials and the agenda that you would need to execute on this. Okay. And again, that doesn't mean that it's all there and you're on your own. It's a good starting point for you to work with Taylor on moving through these pieces. Okay? So you have a copy of the notes in front of you for the PowerPoint deck, correct? Okay. And I tried to be as thorough as I possibly could. So Kathy put together these slides. We took a lot of these from the hygiene webinar that we do. Some of these pieces were from business of dentistry training that we do. We're working with the account managers. But all of these are tried and tested pieces that we've used with doctors, and these components have really resonated with them and continue to resonate with them. Okay, what is a thing that you notice immediately when you look at the first slide? Besides, it looks really beautiful, and Mark's team did a great job again, so that all your decks are going to look the same. There's a consistent BDM branding you should have already noticed. You have your own brand, okay, that feeds out of Burkhart's branding. But what's the most important thing up there that you notice about who's doing the presenting? We want it to be you. Why?
Well, connection to I'm assuming that what you want is a connection from whoever it is attending, that we are, and this is where I get, that we are the,
You are.
you are,
It's all about
I
you.
am,
Yeah.
we are,
The face of.
the face of Burkhart, but also the knowledge of Burkhart, which you
knowledgeable
better
resource.
put a lot more up here then.
Well, and the key on that, I think, Mary, as well, is that you're there representing all of Burkhart, right? So you're the knowledgeable resource, but remember, you're there out in front on the bow of the prow of the ship,
Yes.
right? And you've got everybody behind you.
Pushing me off.
So,
I see it. Go, Mary, go.
Mary,
Go.
plank.
We are at such
Not on
a
the plank,
huge
on the back.
advantage though, because if they ask, I mean, granted, we're not the subject experts on how to code or et cetera, but if they ask any question about Burkhart or processes, or
Of course.
we got those answers.
Of course.
That's a no-brainer.
But it's also, it's interesting, not, this is, when I'm in an office with someone like Heather, who's done this, coding. 11 tens, blah, 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 blah. Like, are you kidding me? Or she'll say, well, it should be a 4341. Oh, really? Or it should be a 4342. Aren't you doing a 4342, 4341? I have no clue what they're talking about.
you will.
I will. That's what I'm saying. I need as much information.
We need the hotline
Yeah.
back number.
Practice, practice, practice,
Practice,
practice.
yeah.
And I can tell you that from experience, because obviously I'm not a hygienist. You know,
But you've been doing this for how long?
And I've been doing, well, this portion, you know, not that long, but I can tell you it's really fun and exciting. I actually love doing the hygiene piece because it's very tangible.
Yes.
It's very easy. It's pretty black and white. I mean, and that's what I love about it, and I think that's what maybe draws me to it.
And I think a lot of
Kathy, as
people
well,
need
is
help in
very-
this because they're not coding it correctly. And I know that part.
Yeah.
I just don't know the codes. And I know that they're not coding it correctly, and why they aren't.
So
possibly.
that will be that's in these slides as we roll through them, you'll see that. But then you also have that capability to say, if there is a question that you don't know the answer to, we've got two resources for you. We have at the very back of your packet, after the agenda and the other materials, you've got this lovely FAQs we've developed. You can have this right in front of you.
Mhm.
So if someone asks a question, you can say, yeah, actually, let's go to the expert.
Mhm.
You know, this is a frequently asked question, and here's what our practice support team, who does this all day and every day, would say. And Kathy wrote these because there are questions that she gets all the time, okay, and the answers are there for you.
I'd just like to add a reason your name is up here. It's a logistical reason also, that first, you own it, you're the face. After you do one or two, you will have it cold, but you're not relying on anyone else. You don't have to rely on their schedule, some other expert to do. You can do these in your territory at the time and place that works for you and that will work best for your clients.
That's a great point, because I know when, I'll use WDS as an example, both of you here can relate to that too. When those changes occurred, you know, instantly in Delta Dental, Washington kind of equivalent, but when those cuts came down, we had instant calls from Jerry Ritzma, I think within, 2 days of it being released, that was happening. And he wanted people up there like the next week. If you know it, you can do that, right? If you don't know it, you know, and quite frankly, it really impacts your budget, because some people, they're gonna wanna get some money for speaking, right? That's not really how it's been budgeted at this point either. So, a couple reasons. Okay? Does it make more sense, Mary?
Mhm.
Kinda, sorta.
Mhm.
All right, so let's walk through this with you, okay? So we're always gonna start with an icebreaker. Okay, and you've noticed that Taylor started with icebreakers every day. I think everybody, you've all been leading sales meetings for a long time. You understand the importance of an icebreaker. Why is it so important for us to have an icebreaker for these particular groups?
Fewer.
Yeah, put me on at 3 when all the blood rushes from their minds. Go ahead, Noe.
They don't know each other.
Yeah.
They don't know each other, they don't know Burkhart. They're gonna be much more resistant to talking or sharing anything if no words are spoken first. And we're asking them to share, you know, personal business related information. So it's great to have them feeling a little bit more comfortable with each other.
Yeah, and we noticed that, I made reference the other day to the success of the ACT day workshops that we did here, we had people fly all over, and the conversion we had from that. Part of that was we would do that icebreaker at the outset, and we noticed a drastic difference when we didn't have time, when we cut it because we didn't have time, versus to when we really did that, the ability of those doctors to really open up and talk. Because it will, for some of them, it will be the first time they've seen each other, or they've heard of that I've heard of that Dr. Edwards, but I've never spent any time with her before. And quite frankly, it's a pretty competitive environment we work in right now, right? So I could be in direct competition with this person who's sitting over here. So it's important that we do that. So you'll see in my notes there, and I try to type exactly what I would say if I was presenting this, that we're going to be having a conversation tonight around your business. And it's specifically around what's happening in your hygiene department, specifically as it references to perio. But want to make sure we're able to have really good, solid, open discussions before we roll up our sleeves. So in order to do that, here's what we're going to do. We've got, you'll see in the folder, there's a number of different icebreakers that are there. Those are ideas for you. I think there's 12 of them in there right now. I stole some of the ones that Taylor had at this training, and we put those in here as well because they're awesome icebreakers. It is nice. You've noted that if your icebreaker ties back a little bit to what the content is for the particular presentation, but those are all there for you. And you're not going to be redoing these to the same group, right?
Right.
So the beauty, and Kathy noticed this when we were going through this, is the beauty is that you could redo this whole thing time and again. You get really comfortable with a particular icebreaker and it works for your topic, that's what you do each and every time. Okay? All right. This is another component that we think you could continue to use each and every time as well. We know, start listening for those parts of the insight selling here in Challenger Sale. We know there's a lot of moving pieces in your dental practice. We know as an owner it can be exceptionally overwhelming. Not only do you have to be focused on a laser-like way in the patient, in their mouth, in the chair in front of you, but you also have a business to run. You have team members to coach. You have someone who may not have shown up. You have cancellations in the schedule. You've got an entire business that you're concerned about running from a competitive standpoint, a profitability standpoint, a compliance standpoint. What I'd like to do is share a quick exercise with you that I think you can all relate to, that directly relates to what's happening in your practices. And we've got a video that does not play. And I think some of you have seen this. I don't have to play it. It's the Dancing Bear video. Have you guys seen this?
Give away the punch.
If not, Brett has one you can share.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So you're supposed to count how many passes the team in white makes.
That which one makes?
The team in white.
The answer is 13. But did you see the moonwalking bear?
Ah! I saw this before and I didn't see it this time. I didn't do it. Oh!
Here he comes, here he comes, there he
You're always
is.
up there.
Unbelievable.
Took me like 3 times before I finally saw it.
He moonwalks! I didn't even see it.
Okay.
Are you sure it was in the first part?
Yes.
I think not.
Okay, so the point of this one is, so what is the point, doctors? And you can ask them this. We only see what we're looking for, right? And if I'm focused on these finite pieces, it's really easy for me not to see what's happening in other parts of my business and other parts of my practice. So tonight we're going to draw your attention to the bear. We're going to draw your attention to a particular part of your practice that you didn't get a lot of training in. None of you had a lot of coursework in hygiene. How much do they get, Kathy?
6 weeks at best.
6 weeks at best of hygiene training. It's something that oftentimes they say, I'm highly compensating these people. They are professionals. I trust they are doing what they need to do. And I'm focused on this part of my practice. I hear that a lot from doctors that all the practice views that our practice support team has done. We hear that repeatedly. So we know this hasn't been a focus for you perhaps in your practice. We're gonna really dive in tonight and look at the impact this is having on your practice and hopefully raise your awareness levels and things that you can do differently in your practice. Monday, when you get back there, that will make a significant impact. Okay? Works? Could you use this for almost any one of the ones we would do? Hallelujah. So it's gonna become just this very rote piece, right? It's got a very similar format. I'm gonna open it probably fairly similarly. I'm gonna move to this portion, and then we're gonna get right into it, okay? We've done some data mining here, and what we have found through the course of the time for